Thanks for tuning in today. We have Chelisie Hill on the show. She's an American author, dancer. She's a reality TV star. She owns her own jean line. She is a CEO of her own company. She can be seen on Ellen, The Today Show, Huffington Post, and many, many more. Okay. Thank you so much for being here and joining me today. I want to kind of tell everyone what your story is and how it came about that you've become so successful, especially in the dance world, especially because you're not an able body, what you call it. So please give us a little bit of background on like your history and how you've come to be here today.
Okay. Growing up, I always wanted to be a dancer. It was one of those things where I started out when I was 3 years old, and I grew a very strong passion at a really young age. And, going through high school and stuff, I didn't really, do amazing in high school, grade-wise, but every time I competed, I always was able to bring home a trophy and make my parents proud. And that was where I feel like I succeeded the most. And so I danced all through high school until the night my life changed.
Oh, awesome. So what made you want to get into dance when you were younger?
Dance was something I was always really good at. And so I felt like that was my strongest part of my life, and I felt most at home when I was dancing, and I love performing, and dance and performance gives me an opportunity to become a different version of myself. And so I can kind of be whoever I want on the dance floor, and that's what I love most about dance.
Great, awesome. Was there someone that you looked up to or idolized in the dance world when you were younger or today?
I've always looked up to a lot of people I saw on social media. Honestly, Megan Patoon and Ian Eastwood, when they were together, was like my two people that I really looked up to, and they are the ones that really started the whole social media outlook for me, and like putting my dance videos out on social media. They were like my inspiration behind all of that. But I used to watch a lot of dance videos on YouTube, and then I would learn the choreography from them when I was in high school, and I was able to live vicariously through a lot of dancers because of social media.
Okay, awesome. So kind of give us a little background on what happened, you say the night that your life changed. So give us a little history on that.
So now 8 years ago, I was a senior in high school, and I was out at a party with friends, and it got really late, and the plan when I got there was to walk home. There's another girl that literally lived 2 minutes from my house, and so we planned to walk home. And as the night progressed, we all started playing beer pong and just drinking and having a good time, and I realized that it was past my bedtime, past my curfew, and I was going to get in trouble. And so someone just offered to give us a ride home, and not thinking if the driver had been drinking or not, I ran out to the first car I saw and got in. I had the option when we were driving home to get out of the car and go to my house. But we passed my house, and I was like, it's fine, you can just, drop me off on the way back into town. And we ended up not making it back into town. We hit a curb, and the driver tried to get us off the curb and overcorrected, and we went down an embankment and hit a tree head on. And I severed my entire stomach area in half, which gave me a spinal cord injury. And so I was airlifted to the nearest trauma center. And being a senior in high school and just about to graduate and having my entire life ahead of me, when the doctor came in, he basically said, do you have any questions? And this was about 2 weeks after, when I was done with the surgeries and kind of getting my bearings back. And the first thing I said was, well, yeah, why can't I feel my legs? And he said, well, you have a spinal cord injury and you're never going to walk again. And the first thing I said to him was like, well, I just don't walk, like I'm a dancer. And he just looked at me and shook his head and said, I'm sorry, it's not possible anymore. So being classified as disabled at the age of 17, I had no idea what my future was going to look like.
Wow. That's crazy. So what was going through your head? What were your thoughts and everything like that? What were you feeling?
I just felt, honestly, when I first heard it, I was like, this isn't possible. Like, how could someone go from walking to being so active and outgoing to having everything stripped away from her? You know, I'd never thought that you could go from walking to just not being able to feel or function anything below your level of injury. And I didn't know what a spinal cord injury was. I didn't know that your percentage of recovering is low. I'm a complete injury, so which means I'm completely severed. So my spinal cord was damaged really, really bad. But I was in denial when I first heard it. My entire stay through the hospital, I was in denial, and when I got home is when it really hit me. When everyone was gone and I was just in my bed staring at a wheelchair next to my bed, and that's when it hit me. And you know, it was a few months after, and I didn't regain any function or feeling, and that was when it was the hardest time.
So what did you do from there on out? I know you said, you kind of were in denial and everything. How did you keep going? How did you keep your head up? Because I know being around you at the time, you were very still positive on everything. I know you had a good outlook on everything. So just kind of tell me and walk me through that. Like I said, when I got home from the hospital, that's when I realized that things may not change, and they may not change in the first year or two. And I remember my dance team, when I was still in the hospital, they were like, we want you to dance for the Hello Goodbye rally, and that was like the last rally of the year. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can do the jazz routine, but I can't do the leg part, obviously. And they completely choreographed a wheelchair dance routine for me. My dad went and got wheelchairs from all over Northern California. And honestly, at that moment when I surprised my entire school and 12 girls on the dance team rolled in on wheelchairs, that was when I was like, wow, I can still dance. I just gotta find girls like me that, that have the same passion. And I think that's when everything really changed. And it's because I grew up in such a small, beautiful, supportive town that I was able to see that side of what life could be. Right. That's good. That's great. So did you, obviously now we're here and, you've had so many successes and everything like that. What about your struggles and everything? Tell me what, anything that might, obviously you can't do certain daily activities that were easy before. Mm-hmm. Have you ever gone through a depressive state or been, sad in ways that you're like, what am I going to do? Have you ever been through those stages, or do you still go through those stages? And how do you get out of that?
Since day one, I have tried to surround myself around people and women like me, because I don't feel different. Even though everyone's watching this and I'm sitting on a couch just like you, people don't know the struggle of what I go through, and the fact that I can't just lift my legs, I can't just wiggle my toes into my tennis shoes. People don't understand the part behind the scenes. And trying to relearn how to get dressed and live that independent life that I wanted so bad was really hard. Having my mom have to shower me when I first got home from the hospital and literally completely strip my own self confidence away from me because I had no privacy was really hard when I was just getting into adulthood and just getting into where you're supposed to go off to college and live a normal life. And as far as depression, I had moments of it for sure, but I don't think I've ever been depressed. And I think that's because I've chosen to surround myself around people that only want to lift me up. My friends and family have never told me, oh, well, you can't do that because, your situation. I want to go horseback riding. They figure out how to get me onto a horse. I want to go ATV riding. They figure out how to get me onto the ATV. I want to go to the water. The first person to pick me up is always my family. And so I've never had that feeling of I can't do it because someone chooses to limit me. It's always been, no, it's okay, I'll do it. I don't want to do it because of my own self, my own choice. And I think that's so important when your life changes, and it doesn't have to be a spinal cord injury, but if your life changes drastically, and I think being able to surround yourself around people who just want to lift you up is so important. And I'm very blessed to have the friends and family I do.
That's good. That's awesome. Okay, so what made you, after everything that you've done, tell me a little bit about what made you starting to, putting together the Rollettes dance team and, creating your own jean line, being an author, being on a reality show, doing all of that. Tell me kind of how it started and everything like that.
It all started about 2 years after my injury, and I had been dancing for a year in my chair, and I remember my dad goes, you should start your own dance team. And I was probably 19 years old, 20 years old, and my dad said that to me, and I go, me? Start my own dance team? I don't even know where I would start. I don't even choreograph. I don't even know what I would do. And he just said, hey, why don't you call the girls you've met and see if they want to come and do a performance in Monterey, which is my hometown. And I did that, and we performed for my hometown because I wanted to show my friends and family in my community that dance is dance and it doesn't matter your ability, and posted a video, and it just took off and spread so quickly, and started this dance team called Team Hot Wheels in the very beginning, which was so long ago, and then we just evolved from there, and now we're the Rollettes, and we travel the United States performing, and it's been really cool, getting a group of girls together that have a disability, but that want to, see beyond that and break the barrier of what disability looks like. It's an incredible feeling.
That's awesome. Yeah. Kind of going back to the person that was driving, I know you went to kind of like bat for him too when he was, being charged with what was it, not manslaughter, but
like, let me think, what is it called?
He went to court, obviously, because he was drinking and driving, and obviously you got injured, and other people are injured as well, but obviously not as severe as you. But it really shows that, no matter what, you still went up to bat for him and said, hey, like, he was young, we're all young, we all did it, everyone does it, kind of thing, and you still went to bat for him. So tell me what kind of prompted you to do that, and what made you really go to bat for him?
When I first realized that I was in the hospital and something had happened, honestly, back then it could have been any of us in the car driving. We grew up in a very small town where there were no big, nothing bad ever happened. And honestly, growing up there, we didn't hear about drunk driving accidents very often, or what could happen, or the possibility of not only getting in a car accident, but life or death, or the in-between, which is a disability. And so I didn't really understand what could happen, and neither did anyone in the car. And the reason why I fought to get him out of jail and fought to get him out of prison again after he was sentenced for about 3 years, 7 years and 4 months in Vacaville State Prison. He did 3 years and then was able to go to trial again. And I fought because it wasn't about everyone else around me. It wasn't about all the rumors that went on in my hometown afterwards. It was because I felt that, we were talking for those years via writing and stuff, and I went to visit him, and it was really interesting because I never blamed him, because it could have been my parents driving, even though my parents are sober. But, a deer could have ran out. It wasn't him. It wasn't the situation. It was the fact that I feel it was the wrong place, the wrong time, the wrong decision. I made this choice to get in the car, and forgiveness is key, and it wasn't only about him. It was also I needed to be able to forgive myself for getting in that car. And I wanted to move on. He needed to move on. And the best way to do that was to make sure that when he got out, he made the proper steps to be a productive member of society. And he's doing that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very powerful. Great. So what, you've going back now again to today, can you share with some of your successes and what you do on a daily basis? And I know you travel a lot, and you actually speak at schools against drunk driving, and you go and visit people in the hospital that are newly injured, stuff like that. So kind of walk me through that and tell me what prompts you to do that.
For the speaking, I speak at high schools because I wish my hometown had that more. They had an every 15 minutes program every 4 years, which I got when I was a freshman, which I was so young, so naive, had no idea what was even going on, so it didn't even faze me. I speak because I'm still young, I can connect to the kids, and I truly feel if I had someone come into my school when I was a senior in high school and tell their story, doesn't matter if they were a dancer or not, but if they were a football player and, someone that was like us and not an adult, then maybe that night I wouldn't have gone into the car. And that's what pushes me to speak. And, when I started dancing after, I never would have thought that I would have been part of a reality show, on Ellen, an author of a book. And, it's interesting because once you stop being self-conscious and you just don't care what other people think, unfortunately I had to do that, fortunately, at a young age, but so many more doors open up for you. Once I put myself out on social media of who I was and my passion of dancing, so many doors opened up, because that's the power of the day that we live in now, is that once you just forget what other people think and start being you, because we're all so unique, so many more doors will open.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very, very good. So also, what do you think is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned through your journey?
That's so many lessons. Let's see. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is to just never give up. As cliche as that sounds, we're all going through something, whether it's a physical thing, a mental thing, an emotional thing. We all have something that we're going through. And as long as you stay consistent, you stay focused, anything can happen. And, you have the power to choose the path that you live. And thankfully, I grew up with friends and family that always wanted to push me to be a better version of myself and never let me see my disability as a negative thing. And I think if I can do what I've done the last 8 years, anyone can do it, as long as you just stay focused.
That's great. That's awesome. That's very true and, very inspiring. So what are your next goals in life? What do you have for the future? Can you tell us anything?
There's things I can say and things I cannot say. But my biggest goal, because I run a wheelchair dance team called the Rollettes, and 6 years ago I started this dance camp. And this dance camp was for wheelchair users, women, and just to not only dance, but also to network with each other and hang out, and just a safe place to feel normal. And last year I had 30 girls come from all over the United States, Canada, and then Australia. And this year I have 100 women coming in from all over the world, attending a dance intensive that I'm putting on at the Marriott Hotel. And I have about 10 different countries that will be there. So women from Brazil, the Netherlands, Sweden, Canada, Australia, the UK, so many different places, and then all over the States. You know, I never, ever in a million years would have thought that 100 women, kids and adults, would be coming to Los Angeles because of something that I'm putting on. And it's because of the people that I've pulled in from around me, and then also the dance team as well, you know? So that's next, which I'm really excited for. And I wanted to throw these camps because I know what it feels like to be an able-bodied dancer, and have dance camps and dance intensives and workshops. But there was never anything for young adults that are women. And so I wanted to throw something and put something on, and 6 years later, it's being what it is today, and that's 100 women coming, so which is so crazy. So that's like the big thing that's next for me, and there's a lot of things in the works, a lot of speaking events that are coming up, and a lot of dance videos.
Yeah, that's exciting. So how do you balance your like work life and like personal life?
That's hard. I think that's hard for anyone, but for me, you know, because of my situation, it does take me longer to like get ready, not only get up, but get myself out of bed, moving my legs, and then getting into my chair and dealing with the whole, you know, spinal cord injury life is definitely hard, you know, doing my own laundry, doing the dishes, having to clean up. You know, I do lean on my boyfriend to help out with stuff, but I have to designate time just like any other person to really take care of like the house and my dog and tend to my boyfriend. And you know, I work from home, so having that balance of working from home and living is also very difficult. But you know, it's difficult for anyone, and that's what I have to remind myself is because of my situation, it doesn't not only mean that I'm different, but like other people are dealing with the same things. And I just keep reminding myself, like, you don't feel like this just because you're in a chair. You feel like this because you're an adult. You're an entrepreneur. You're trying to do everything at once. And, you know, traveling is its own thing. But I'm very blessed that I can travel for my job. But, yeah.
That's good. That's good. So where do you see yourself now? I mean, you've had so much success. Where do you see yourself now in 5, maybe 10 years from now? Do you see yourself having kids? Do you see yourself having more businesses, more dance teams? I mean, what do you envision for the future?
Personally, I would love to be married and having a kid. But work-wise, I would love to have a Rollettes Houston, a Rollettes New York, a Rollettes Florida, and having dance teams in other states. One, because it's needed, and the 6 of us are not enough to do everything, but also because of the sisterhood that we've built. It's been able to, you know, grow as a team, but I want that for other girls in other states. So I would love to be able to have other Rollettes dance teams in other states, but I just would love to have the Rollettes Experience camp getting bigger and bigger every year. And that's my main goal. That's my baby. That's like something that I love so much. So yeah.
Awesome. So tell me what you know, any kind of message that you could leave for us today. And you know, I know you have a really powerful mindset, and you've kept that positivity throughout the years, despite your disability and everything. So if you could just leave a message for everyone, what would it be?
That's so hard. Sorry, give me a second. Oh my gosh, that's so hard. You know, it's almost like I said, to never give up, as cliche as that sounds. But I didn't give up on myself and my dreams. And, you know, I have all odds against me. You know, there's not a lot of wheelchair dancers out there. You know, what I want to do is so unique and so different that no one has really done what I'm doing now, that I kind of have to like convince people and like build it and they will come kind of thing. But, you know, as long as you just believe in yourself and you just keep going no matter what obstacles are thrown at you, anything can happen. And yeah, like I said, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And that means like anyone can pursue their dreams, anyone can make it happen. Just stay consistent, stay grounded, and keep moving forward.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we'll put out all the social media handles and everything like that so you can keep up to date with Chelisie and her journey into the future. Thanks.